Welcome. Welcome to tonight's story. Take a moment before we begin to settle into wherever you are resting. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let the weight of your head sink a little deeper into your pillow. There is nothing you need to do now. Nothing you need to remember. Nothing you need to solve. The day you have just finished is finished. And the day that comes next is still far away, hidden behind hours of quiet sleep. You are between them now, in a soft place that belongs only to you. Tonight, we are going to drift, slowly, gently. We are going to ride a great quiet balloon through a calm river of high air, and we are going to watch a quiltress at her patient work. And we are going to let the night carry us along with her, without hurry, without effort, without anywhere we need to be. Breathe in, slowly, through your nose, and breathe out, slowly, through your mouth, in and out. Let that next breath be a little slower than the one before it, and the next one slower still. You may notice small sounds around you, the hum of the room, the rustle of your blankets, the small clicks of a house at rest. These sounds do not need your attention. You can let them drift past you, the way a single leaf drifts past a slow stream. If thoughts arrive, you can let them arrive, and then you can let them pass, just as easily, the way clouds drift past a window when no one is watching. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to hold them. You can simply let them pass. The world we are entering tonight is a soft one. No storms ever come there. No alarms ring. No one is in any hurry. The air moves at the pace of a slow exhale, and everything that lives in it has learned to move at that same pace. So let your breath grow slower still. Let the warmth of your body settle into the bed beneath you. Let your hands rest open or curled, however they wish. Let your eyes rest closed or half closed, however they wish. And when you are ready, when you feel that small inward turning that means you are willing to be led, we will step together into the cool, quiet air above the mountains, where a great cream canvas balloon waits to carry us gently through a long and patient night. You find yourself standing on a wide wooden platform that has been built into the shoulder of a mountain. The platform is old and smooth, its planks worn pale by many years of soft boots and patient feet. The air here is cool, the kind of cool that touches your cheeks without biting them. And there is the faint, clean smell of cedar and high stone, and something else, something sweet and warm, like tea being steeped in a copper pot. In front of you, just at the edge of the platform, a great balloon is waiting. It is enormous, and yet it does not feel enormous. It feels patient. Its canvas is the soft cream color of unbleached linen, and the lantern light that hangs around it makes the canvas glow gently, the way a paper lamp glows from within. You can see the long seams that hold the balloon together, sewn with a careful, steady hand, and you can see the slow rise and fall of the canvas as it breathes in the cool air. Beneath the balloon hangs a gondola of woven wicker. It is broader than you might have imagined, almost like a small floating room, and it creaks softly as the wind shifts beneath it. That creak, that soft, woven sound, is one you will come to know well tonight. It is a friendly sound, a sound that says, I am holding you. I have held many before you. I will hold you all the way. A rope ladder hangs from the gondola's side, swaying very slightly. You step onto its first rung, then the next, then the next. The wicker creaks above you. The lantern light brightens, and at the top of the ladder, a hand reaches down, and you take it, and you are lifted up gently into the gondola itself. The hand belongs to Imeré, the Quiltress. She is a small woman with quiet eyes and silver in her hair, and she wears a long wool coat the color of moss. She does not say much. She nods to you, and her nod is warm, and that is all the welcome you will need tonight. She is a person who has learned that words, used too often, can disturb the air. She gestures with a soft, slow hand to a bench at the back of the gondola. The bench is wide and low, and it is covered in folded sheep's wool blankets, stacked into pale, patient layers. You sit. You take one of the blankets. It is heavier than you expected, and softer too, the way good wool always is, and you draw it across your lap. The gondola sways very gently, not a frightening sway, the sway of a cradle, the sway of a boat on a sleeping lake. You feel it in your spine, and your spine answers it with a small, glad loosening. Now that you are seated, you can begin to look around. The inside of the gondola is the size of a small cottage room. The floor is woven wicker, but layered over with thick rugs in patterns of pale gold and deep green. Lanterns hang at each corner, 4 of them, each one giving off a soft, honey-colored light that does not strain the eyes. In the center of the floor stands a small copper stove, no taller than your knee, with a long copper chimney that rises up through a careful round opening in the canvas above. A kettle sits on the stove, steaming very gently. You can see the steam curling up into the lantern light, slow and silver, and you can smell the warmth of it from where you sit. To the left of the stove stands Imeré's quilting frame. It is a beautiful, simple thing. 4 pieces of pale wood lashed together with leather cord, holding a square of padded canvas tight. Half-finished stitches walk across the canvas in long, even lines, and a small basket beside the frame holds spools of thread in every soft color you could imagine. Cream, wheat, sky, moss, dusk. To the right of the stove stands a tall, narrow cabinet, also of pale wood, with many small drawers. You will learn, as the night goes on, that these are the cedar thread boxes, and that each one holds a different color of yarn for marking the corner of a finished pouch. The whole cabinet smells, faintly, of cedar and old wood, and that smell will return to you again and again tonight, like a friend passing through the room. At the front of the gondola, the railing is low and rounded, smoothed by years of leaning hands. Beyond the railing, you can see the sky. Not a daytime sky. A deep, dark blue, the color of an evening that has not yet become night. And far below, the smallest specks of light. Villages tucked into mountain folds, their lanterns burning like embers in the soft dark. The balloon is already moving. You did not feel it leave the platform, but you can see, when you look back, that the platform is gone, and only the mountain shoulder remains, and even the mountain is beginning to be very far away. This is the hush. This is the air river the balloons trust. It is a slow, even current that flows between the villages, carrying anything light enough to ride it. It never carries storms. It never carries hurry. It carries only what is patient enough to be carried. You are riding it now. Imeré moves across the gondola in slow, careful steps. She does not waste her motions. She walks the way someone walks who has walked this same floor many, many times, who knows where each board lies and how each rope is tied. She goes to the copper stove and lifts the kettle by its woven handle. The handle, you notice, has been wrapped in pale yarn for warmth, the same kind of yarn she will use later to mark the corners of her pouches. She pours warm water into 2 small clay cups. The water makes a low, round sound as it fills the cups, and steam rises up between her fingers, soft and silver. She drops a small bundle of dried leaves into each cup, leaves that look like little curls of paper, pale green and sweet-smelling, and she sets 1 cup beside you on the bench. You wrap your hands around it. The clay is warm. The warmth travels up your fingers and into your wrists and into your arms, and your shoulders soften a little more. You bring the cup close to your face. The steam smells of meadow grass and honey, and something faintly like chamomile, though it is none of those things exactly. It is a tea that belongs only to this place. You sip. It is warm and gentle and a little sweet. You sip again. Imeré sips her own tea, standing near the stove, and watches the sky with a quiet kind of attention. Her breath comes out in a small, pale cloud in the cool air. After a moment, she sets her cup down on the small shelf above the stove, and she crosses to the quilting frame, and she begins her work. This is what you will watch, on and off, for much of the night. The work of a quiltress. The slow, patient work of stitching the mail into its padded pouches for the long drift between villages. You will not need to understand every detail. You will only need to watch, the way you might watch a fire, or a river, or a candle flame. The watching itself will carry you. The way the postal drift works is this. Letters are gathered in the days before the drift from all the little villages along the mountain range. They arrive at the platform in bundles tied with pale string, and they wait in a small wooden room until the balloon is ready. Each letter has been marked on its envelope with the name of the village it is meant to reach. Some letters are bound for villages only a few hours away. Others are bound for villages 3 days' drift down the hush on the far side of the mountains. When the balloon launches, all of the letters are loaded into great wicker hampers and lifted into the gondola. You can see one of these hampers now, just behind Imeré's quilting frame. A wide, low basket with a soft cloth lining, full of bundled letters that smell faintly of paper and ink, and the cedar boxes they have been resting in. Imeré's task, across the 3 days of drift, is to sort the letters and to sew them into padded canvas pouches. 1 pouch for each village along the route. When a pouch is finished, and when the balloon drifts above the right village, she lowers the pouch on a silk parachute into the wicker basket, waiting in the village square far below. The villagers find their letters there in the morning, dry and warm in their padded cotton, and they take them home, and they read them by the fire. That is all. That is the whole of it. There is nothing more to the postal drift than this. And yet, there is everything to it, because every letter has been touched by Imeré's hands. Every pouch has been stitched with her patient needle. Every village has been visited in the night by the soft drift of a silk parachute and the lantern light of a balloon passing overhead. She is sorting now. You watch her. She sits on a low stool beside the wicker hamper and takes the letters out, one at a time. She does not read them. She does not even seem to look at the names written on them. Instead, she weighs each letter in the palm of her hand, lifting it up and down, very slightly, the way one might test the weight of a small stone. She can tell, by the weight, how many pages are inside. She can tell, by the way the paper bends, whether it is a thick letter from a careful writer or a thin letter from a hurried one. She can tell, by the smell, whether the writer was sitting near a fire or near a window when they wrote. She can tell, by the dryness of the paper, how long the letter has been waiting at the platform. None of this matters in any large way, but it matters to her, because every letter is going to a person, and every person deserves to have their letter known, just a little, before it is sewn into the dark of a pouch. She lifts a letter. She weighs it. She places it gently on the small wooden table beside her, in one of 7 little piles, each pile for a different village along the drift. Then she lifts the next letter. She weighs it. She places it in its pile. Then the next, and the next. You watch the piles grow. Beside her, on the same small table, sits a tray of brass sorting weights. They are round and polished, each one about the size of a walnut, and each one is engraved with the name of a village. When she finishes a pile, she sets the matching brass weight on top of it, so the letters do not stir in the slow movement of the gondola. The weights clink softly as she lifts them and sets them down. A muffled clink, a round, warm sound, like a small bell muffled in wool. You hear that clink now, and again, as she works. Letter, weigh, place, letter, weigh, place. And when a pile is finished, the soft brass clink of the weight settling into place. It is a rhythm, a slow, patient rhythm. And as you watch and listen, your own breath begins to fall into the same rhythm, slow and even and unhurried. After a long while, you do not know how long, because time has begun to soften. Imeré finishes the first sorting. She straightens, very slowly, and presses one hand into the small of her back and looks out over the railing at the sky. You look too. The sky has deepened. The evening blue is gone now, and a true night has come, soft and dark and full of stars. The stars are bright and very still, as if someone has hung them in their places with great care, and then asked them not to move. The hush carries no clouds tonight, and so the stars are everywhere, in every corner of the sky, and the air itself feels touched by their light. Far below, the village lights have grown more numerous. They are not many, even still. The mountains are wide, and the villages are small, but you can see them now, scattered across the dark folds of the land, like glowing embers in a hearth. Some are gathered in clusters, where a few houses share a hilltop. Others stand alone, single small lights in the great dark, where a single cottage keeps its lamp burning. Each of those small lights, you realize, is waiting for the post. Each one has a wicker basket in its village square, ready to catch a pouch when the balloon drifts overhead. Each one will wake in the morning to find letters from far away, sewn into padded cotton and tied with pale yarn. It is a quiet thought, and a warm one. You let it rest in your mind for a moment, and then you let it drift away, the way most thoughts drift away tonight. Imeré is back at the quilting frame now. She has taken the first pile of letters from the small table, the pile bound for the first village along the route, and she has begun to sew them into their pouch. The pouch starts as 2 flat squares of padded canvas laid together. The canvas is the color of milk, and the padding inside is soft cotton. thick enough that nothing in the pouch will be jostled or chilled on the long drift. Imeré has already stitched 3 sides of the pouch closed, in long, careful, even stitches, and now she opens the 4th side and slides the letters inside, one by one, the way one might tuck small, sleeping things into bed. She does not hurry. She does not even seem to think. Her hands know this work. They have done it 1,000 times. They will do it 1,000 times more. When all the letters are inside, she folds the open edge down, once, then twice, and begins to sew it closed. The needle moves through the padded cotton with a soft, rhythmic pull. In, through, out, pull. In, through, out, pull. You can hear it, very faintly, in the quiet of the gondola. The small, dry whisper of thread passing through cloth. The slightest shift of the wooden frame as her hand presses against it. The hush of her breath, slow and even, as she works. She is humming, very softly. You did not notice at first. It is a low, wordless hum, the kind one makes without thinking, the kind that belongs to a person alone, with a long task and a long quiet. The hum rises and falls in slow patterns that do not seem to follow any tune you know, and yet they feel familiar somehow, as if you have heard them in some other quiet room a long time ago. You let the hum settle into your ears. You let your breath fall into time with the slow pull of her needle. In, through, out, pull. When the pouch is finished, when its 4th side is sewn shut as evenly as the other 3, Imeré stands and crosses to the cedar thread boxes. She opens one of the small drawers. Inside are coils of pale yarn, the color of new straw. She takes a length of the yarn and snips it with a small pair of bone-handled shears. Then she returns to the pouch, and she threads the yarn through one of the corners, and she ties it into a small, neat loop. This loop is how the village below will know which pouch is theirs. The straw-colored yarn means this pouch is for the village of Mierenfeld, the first village along the drift. Other villages have other colors. Moss green for Velstow, pale blue for Anhart, wheat gold for Soren. Each color a small promise sewn into a corner. She sets the finished pouch on a low shelf near the railing, where the other pouches will join it through the night. One pouch, one village, one small loop of yarn. She returns to her bench. She takes a slow sip of her tea. She looks at you, and her quiet eyes are kind, and she nods once, as if to say, "That is one. There are 6 more to go. There's the whole night ahead of us." You nod back. You take a slow sip of your own tea, and the warmth travels down into your chest, and you let your head rest a little more against the soft side of the gondola. The balloon drifts on. You begin to notice, now that you are settling, the smaller sounds of the gondola, the slow creak of the woven wicker as the basket shifts in the air, the soft tick of the copper kettle cooling between brewings, the faint whisper of the lantern flames, burning low and steady in their glass shades, the hush of the canvas above you, breathing the cool air in and out. That breath of the canvas is something you had not expected. You can hear it if you listen. A long, slow inhale as the cool night air pushes against the cream-colored fabric. A long, slow exhale as the warm air inside the balloon shifts and settles. In and out, in and out. You realize, after a moment, that you are breathing with it. Your chest is rising as the canvas rises. Your chest is falling as the canvas falls. You are inside the breath of the balloon, and the balloon is inside the breath of the hush, and the hush is inside the breath of the mountains, and the mountains are inside the breath of the night. There's something very calming about being inside so many breaths at once. A long while passes. You do not know how long. The stars wheel slowly overhead, and the lantern light burns on, and Imeré works her slow rhythm: sort, weigh, place, stitch, hum, tie the loop. After a time, she rises and crosses to the railing. She lifts the first finished pouch from the shelf. She holds it up to a small lantern beside the railing, and she checks the stitches one more time with a careful eye. She is not looking for mistakes. She knows there are none. She is greeting the pouch the way one greets a small thing that one has made with one's own hands. Then she fastens the pouch to a silk parachute. The parachute is folded into a small bundle the size of an apple. But when she draws out its lines and lets it open in her hands, it unfolds with the softest, driest whisper you have ever heard. A whisper like dry leaves in autumn. A whisper like a curtain being drawn across an open window. The silk is the pale color of moonlight on snow, and when the lantern light catches it, it glows. She ties the pouch to the parachute lines with a small, careful knot. She tests the knot twice. Then she waits. You wait with her. The balloon drifts on through the still air, and far below, the village lights pass slowly beneath you. Some are far off to the side. Some are directly underneath. Imeré watches with patient eyes, leaning lightly against the railing, the parachute bundled gently in her hands. Then she sees what she has been waiting for. A single small light, brighter than the others, directly beneath the gondola. It is the lantern of the village square of Mierenfeld, burning all through the night so the balloon can find it. She steps to the edge of the gondola. She holds the pouch out over the railing. She lets the silk of the parachute fall first, and then, after a slow breath, she lets the pouch follow it. You watch over the railing as the pouch drops away. The silk catches the cool air, and the parachute blossoms open, slowly, gently, the way a flower opens in time-lapse. And then the pouch begins to drift downward, swaying softly under the canopy of silk. You can see it for a long time as it falls, a small, pale shape against the dark of the mountainside, drifting toward the small, bright lantern of the village square below. It will land in a wicker basket. The villagers will find it in the morning. They will untie the straw yellow loop, and they will lift each letter out one by one, and they will carry them to the houses where they belong. But that is later. That is morning. You and Imeré are still in the dark, still in the high, cool air, still inside the long breath of the balloon and the long drift of the hush. She steps back from the railing. She rubs her hands together slowly to warm them. She crosses to the copper stove and pours herself more tea. And she pours you more tea too. And she returns to the quilting frame. One pouch is done. 6 remain. The night is long. You watch her sort the second pile. These letters are bound for Velstow, a village further along the drift, half a night ahead of where the balloon is now. She lifts each one. She weighs it. She places it. The brass weight clinks softly when she sets it down at the end. You begin to notice, as she works, how she touches each letter. Her fingertips brush the corners of the envelopes. Her thumb runs along the folded edges. she is not looking for anything in particular. She is only saying, in her quiet way, "Hello. You are going to a person. I will sew you carefully. The pouch will be warm. You will arrive safely." It strikes you, as you watch this, that there is a great deal of kindness in the world that no one sees. Small, slow kindnesses given by patient hands to small, paper things in the middle of the night, in the middle of the air, far above a sleeping mountain range. These kindnesses go on, whether anyone notices or not. They are happening now. They are happening always. You can rest in that thought, the way one rests in a warm bath. The needle moves through the padded cotton. In, through, out, pull. The pale yarn, this time, is the color of moss. It is threaded through the corner and tied into a small, neat loop. The second pouch joins the first on the low shelf. The balloon drifts on. Hours pass. You are not keeping track. You let them pass. You feel, after a while, the gentle sway of the gondola begin to lull you. It is the smallest of sways. A gentle tipping, this way, then that. The motion of a wide, slow boat on a wide, slow river. The motion of a hammock in a summer afternoon. The motion of a cradle being rocked by a patient hand. You let your eyes rest closed for a while. You open them after a time and find that nothing has changed. The lanterns still glow. The needle still moves. The canvas still breathes. You let your eyes rest closed again, and you let the sway take you a little deeper. You do not need to follow every detail tonight. You can come and go. You can listen in and listen out. The story is here, and the story will continue, and you may rest inside it however you wish. When you next look up, the third pouch is being finished. Imeré is tying its corner loop. The yarn is pale blue for Unhurried, a village high on a ridge 2/3 of the way along the drift. She sets the pouch on the shelf beside the other two, and she stands a moment looking at them. 3 pale, soft pouches, each with a small loop of colored yarn, each waiting for its village, each warm with letters. She nods, very slightly. She crosses to the stove. She lifts the kettle. The kettle is not boiling. It never boils. The copper is just warm enough to keep the water hot, and the water is just hot enough to steep the leaves, and nothing in this gondola ever needs to do more than be just warm enough. Everything here lives in the soft middle of things, where nothing is hurried, and nothing is loud, and nothing is too much. She pours. The steam rises. She brings you a fresh cup. You hold it. You sip. The tea, this time, tastes a little of mint, though Imeré has added nothing new. Perhaps the leaves brewed longer. Perhaps you are noticing them more. You sip again. She returns to her bench and sits, and she takes a small piece of cheese and a small piece of bread from a wooden box beside the bench, and she eats them slowly, looking out at the stars. She offers you a piece of each. You take them. The bread is dense and slightly sweet, and the cheese is soft and milky, and together they make a small, perfect, quiet meal. You eat in silence. You drink your tea in silence. The lanterns glow. The canvas breathes. After her small meal, Imeré does something you did not expect. She crosses to the bench where you sit, and she lifts one of the folded sheep's wool blankets from the stack, and she shakes it out very gently, and she lays it across your shoulders. The blanket is heavy in the best way. It is the weight of a hand resting on your back. It is the weight of a quiet room around your heart. You can feel the warmth begin to gather under it almost at once, and the soft wool against the back of your neck is the gentlest thing you have felt all day. She does not say anything. She only smiles, a small, patient smile, and goes back to her quilting frame. You sink into the blanket. You sink into the bench. You sink into the warm teacup in your hands, and the soft sway of the gondola, and the slow breath of the canvas above you. She sews. The fourth pouch begins. The needle moves. In, through, out, pull. She is humming again. The same soft, wordless tune. It rises. It falls. It rises. It falls. The lantern light flickers, very slightly, as a small current of air moves past the gondola. The canvas above you sighs. The wicker creaks. The brass weights clink softly on the small table where the letters wait. You let your head rest fully against the soft side of the gondola. You let your eyes rest closed. You are not asleep yet. You are only resting. You can still hear everything: the needle, the hum, the canvas, the wicker. And these sounds are no longer sounds you need to keep track of. They are simply the sounds of where you are. They will continue without your attention. They will continue if you sleep. They will continue if you wake. They will continue all night. You drift for a while. You return. When you return, the fourth pouch is done. Its yarn loop is wheat gold. It joins the others on the shelf. Imeré is at the railing now, fastening the third pouch, the moss green one for Velisto, to its silk parachute. The pouch has been waiting on the shelf for an hour or more, and the balloon has drifted all that time closer to Velisto. She holds out the parachute. The silk whispers as it unfolds, dry and pale and luminous in the lantern light. She waits at the railing. She watches. Below, a single bright lantern grows brighter, directly beneath the gondola. It is the village square of Velstow, marked for her by its keeper's careful flame. She lets the parachute fall first, then the pouch. The silk blossoms open in the cool air, and the pouch drifts down, soft and slow, into the dark. You watch it disappear toward the small, bright light below. You imagine, for a moment, the wicker basket waiting in the square, and the pouch settling gently into it, and the village sleeping around it, unaware. You imagine the morning when the postmistress or postmaster will lift the pouch out, untie its moss green loop, and lay the letters one by one on a long wooden table to be carried away to their houses. But the morning is still far away, and you are still in the dark and the quiet and the soft breath of the balloon. The night deepens. You did not think it could deepen further, but it does. The stars seem brighter. The air seems stiller. The lantern light seems warmer. Imeré sorts the fifth pile. Letter, way, place. Letter, way, place. The brass weight clinks. She stitches the fifth pouch. In, through, out, pull. She ties its corner loop. This time, the yarn is a deep, dusk-colored thread, almost violet. Soren's color. Soren is a small village in a high valley near the end of the drift, where the houses are clustered around a stone well, and where the lanterns burn pale and steady all night long. The fifth pouch joins the others on the shelf. You become aware, after a while, of something new, a change in the air. It is not a wind. The hush carries no wind. It is something gentler, a softening of the cool air, a faint shift in the temperature, as if the night is breathing a slow, warm breath up from somewhere below. You ask, with your eyes, what it is. Imeré is at the railing, looking down, and she gestures softly for you to come and see. You rise from the bench, the wool blanket drawn around your shoulders, and you cross the gondola to stand beside her. Below you, in the dark, you can see the slow shape of a wide valley, and in the middle of the valley, faint and pale, a soft band of mist is rising. It is not a storm mist. It is a gentle, low mist, the kind that gathers in valleys at the deepest part of the night, when the warmth of the day still rests in the stones, and the air above has cooled. The mist rises in slow, soft curls, the color of pale silver, and it catches the starlight from above, and the lantern light of the small village at the valley's edge. The balloon drifts over the mist. You can feel its faint warmth on your face, the way one might feel the warmth of a bath in a far room. The smell of it is sweet and stony, and a little like wet grass. Imeré rests her hands on the railing and watches the mist. You rest your hands beside hers and watch with her. You are not in a hurry to go anywhere. Neither is she. Neither is the balloon. Neither is the mist. Neither is the night. You stand there together for a long, quiet time. When you finally return to the bench, the lantern light feels softer than before, and the blanket feels warmer. You curl your feet up under you. You draw the blanket close. You let your head rest against the woven wicker side of the gondola, which is padded, where you lean, with a small folded cushion. Imeré is back at the quilting frame. The 6th pouch has begun. The needle moves through the padded cotton. In, through, out, pull. The pale hum begins again. The brass weights clink softly as she shifts the small table to make room for the spool of thread. The canvas above breathes its long, slow breath. You begin to feel, very gently, the edges of your body soften. The shape of your hands feels a little less precise. The shape of your feet feels a little less defined. Your shoulders, your back, your jaw, all of them seem to be loosening, the way a knot loosens when one does not pull on it. This is the beginning of rest. You can let it come. There is nothing in the gondola that needs you alert, nothing that asks you to stay watchful. You can let your watchfulness set itself down, the way one sets down a small bag at the end of a long road. A long time passes. The 6th pouch is finished. Its yarn loop is the color of clay. Imeré drops the 4th pouch, the wheat gold one for Soren, to its village square far below, watching the silk unfold and the pouch drift down into the cool dark. She returns. She makes more tea. She drinks it, standing by the stove, looking out at the stars, the steam curling slowly past her face. She sews the 7th pouch, the last one, for a tiny village called Halmen, perched on the highest ridge at the far end of the drift. Halmen has only a few dozen houses and only a small handful of letters tonight, and so the pouch is the smallest of all. It is the size of a folded napkin. Its yarn loop is the color of evening sky, a soft, deep blue. She holds it in her hand for a moment when it is done, the way one holds a small bird that one is about to let fly. Then she sets it on the shelf beside the others. 7 pouches, 7 villages, 7 small loops of colored yarn. She has done her work for this part of the night. She sits down on the bench across from you. She wraps her own wool blanket around her shoulders. She closes her eyes for a moment, only a moment, and breathes a long, slow breath of her own. You realize, watching her, that she is letting herself rest too. Not sleep, only rest. The balloon will drift on. The hush will carry it. In a few hours, she will rise and drop the 5th pouch, and a few hours after that, the 6th, and a few hours after that, the 7th. And then it will be morning, and the balloon will arrive at the platform on the far side of the mountains, and the drift will be done. But that is hours away, and for now, there's only the quiet, and the lantern light, and the long breath of the canvas, and the slow sway of the gondola in the soft current of the hush. She opens her eyes. She looks at you. She smiles, and then she settles back against the wicker side of the gondola, the way you have settled against your own, and she lets the night carry her. You let it carry you too. The lanterns burn low, not out, just low. Their light is honey soft. You watch one of them for a while. The flame moves only very slightly, in slow, patient waves. You can see the small, dark wick at its center, and the curling shape of the flame above it, and the warm glow of the glass shade around it. You let your eyes follow the slow wave of the flame for a long time. Up, down, up, down. Your eyelids feel heavy. You let them rest closed. When you open them again, the flame has not changed. You let them rest closed once more. You become aware of the small things. The smell of cedar from the thread boxes drifting faintly across the gondola, the warm copper kettle steam still rising in soft silver curls from the stove, the cool high-altitude air on your cheeks, a gentle reminder that you are very high up, in a place where the world is very far away. The muffled clink of a brass sorting weight, settling somewhere on the table, perhaps disturbed by a small shift of the gondola. The distant village lights below, like embers scattered across a vast dark hearth. The dry whisper of a silk parachute, somewhere, perhaps in your memory, of the ones you have seen unfold tonight. Perhaps in the slight sound of the folded ones waiting at the railing. The rhythmic pull of a needle through padded cotton. Even though Imeré is not sewing now, the rhythm has stayed in your ears, the way the rhythm of waves stays in one's ears after a day at the sea. The sheep's wool blanket, folded warmly around you, weight and softness together. The soft creak of the woven wicker as the gondola sways. The lantern light on cream canvas, glowing above you like a soft, pale moon. You let each of these things settle into you, one by one. You do not need to hold them. You only need to notice them. And then let them be there, around you, without your effort, all through the night. The balloon drifts on. You drift with it. In time, the 5th pouch is dropped. You watch through half-closed eyes as Imeré rises, fastens the silk, waits for the village light below, and lets the pouch fall. The whisper of the silk is soft and dry. The pouch drifts down, swaying gently under its pale canopy, toward the small, bright lantern of Anhart on its ridge. You imagine the ridge in the morning, the mist gathering in the pine trees, the first villagers coming down the path to the square, the pale blue loop on the corner of the pouch, the careful hands lifting it out. But that is morning. You do not need to be there. You are here, in a soft dark, in the warm wool, in the sway of the wicker. Imeré sits down again. She closes her eyes again. You close yours too. The night deepens further still. The stars wheel slowly overhead. Sometime later, you cannot say how much, the sixth pouch is dropped. Soren's pouch, dusk purple at the corner. You see it only as a soft, pale shape falling into the dark, and you see the small, bright lantern of Soren's square below. And then you see neither, because your eyes have closed again. The whisper of the silk fades into the whisper of your own breath. The slow sway of the gondola becomes the slow sway of your own body, settling into the bed beneath you. A long, long quiet. The seventh pouch is dropped. Halman's, the smallest of them all. The deep blue loop disappears into the dark valley below, where a single tiny lantern burns in a tiny square between tall pines. The balloon is empty now of letters. The wicker hamper is folded down. The small table is clean. The thread boxes are closed. The quilting frame is set aside. There's only Imeré resting on her bench under her blanket, and you resting on your bench under yours, and the slow drift of the great cream canvas above, and the long, even breath of the hush. You are very nearly asleep now. You can feel it. The way the edges of your thoughts have begun to soften. The way time has begun to fold into itself. The way the lantern light and the cool air and the warm wool and the slow sway have all become one single feeling. You do not need to do anything. You do not need to follow the story any further. The balloon will drift on. Imeré will rest. The night will continue. The morning will come in its own slow time. Let your breath grow slower. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands rest. The lantern light is soft. The canvas breathes. The wicker creaks gently. You are warm. You are held. You are carried. The stars wheel above. The villages glow below. The hush carries no storms. The hush carries only what is patient enough to be carried. It is carrying you now. Slowly, gently, the cedar smell drifts past. The kettle steams. The needle rests on the folded frame. The brass weights are still. The silk parachutes are folded away. The blanket is heavy and warm. Your eyes are closed. The balloon drifts on. You drift with it. Sleep is near. Let it come. Let it come. Let it come.